We'll sit on this side with you guys. You'll be fine. They won't even know you're here.
Surrounding about how that impacts, and then for the schools, operations, stuff like that, but personnel it's just come to see. Right. Well, I just think that one of the first I feel very bad. But it's got too much history of watching and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I just and I don't know, and I don't want to
and we try to understand.
6 o'clock, I'm going to call this meeting to order. First thing, be sure you silence. That includes us up here. Be sure you silence your cell phones. I usually do that, but there it goes. Okay. Also, I ask that in the audience, if you be careful about hitting chairs with your knees and whispering behind people that can't hear well. So please try to honor decorum in the meeting. All right. Tonight, the call to with the invocation, Commissioner Wilkins. Pledge of Allegiance is Commissioner Albright. Commissioner Wilkins.
Let us pray. Gracious Father, our God, we come before your presence right now to say thank you. We thank you, Father God, for both your grace and your mercy. We thank you, oh God, for this opportunity to come to represent the citizens of Creedmoor. We pray, oh God, that everything we do tonight, Father God, will be for their benefit. And we pray, Father God, that the words of our mouths and the meditation of our heart will be acceptable in thy sight. My Lord, my strength, in Jesus, my Redeemer, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand with me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Present.
Commissioner Albright.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gleason.
Present.
Commissioner Kaczynski. Commissioner Way.
Here.
Mayor Wheeler.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Approval of agenda. Is there anything that needs to be added?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add something.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Wilkins.
I'd like to renew my previous defeated motion on the city purchasing water filters.
You need to what?
Renew my previous defeated motion on the city purchasing water filters.
Okay, you want to discuss it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we'll put that down. I hate to pull Carl back out of that. Let's do it on, well, let's go all the way. 6 is covering just about everything. Let's go 6H.
All right.
Discuss water filters. Wilkins. All right, is there any additional changes to the agenda, additions, subtractions?
Yes, Mr.
Commissioner, Mayor Pro Tem Gleason.
I'd like to add 6I, water quality.
All right.
Water quality.
All right, any additional subtractions or additions? Not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the two additional items, discussion of the water filters and water quality. Mayor Pro Tem has made the motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Let's see, that was Gleason. 5-0. All right, we move to item 5, introduction, recognition, presentations, in which case I will turn that over to our city manager, 5A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, it's my pleasure this evening to introduce to the board Charla Duncan. Charla holds a Bachelor of Arts in English from UNC Greensboro. She was licensed as a secondary English teacher, educator in North Carolina from 2011 to 2021. She taught high school English in both High Point and Charlotte, North Carolina. Charla received her Master in Public Administration from the Wagner School of Public Service at New York University in 2013. While in New York City, she had the pleasure of working for both the Mayor's Office of Special Affairs and the Mayor's Office in Combat and Domestic Violence. She previously worked for Granville County first in 2016 as the Grants Coordinator and then as a Management Analyst where she served through 2019. She has been with Warren County government from December 2019 through April of 2025, where she served primarily as the county's Directors of Community and Economic Development, after her role as Warren County's Senior Assistant to the Manager. She is a Certified Economic Development Coordinator and has previously been named the 2022 Business Trailblazer by Business North Carolina and the 2023 Emerging Leader of the Year of the North Carolina Economic Development Association. Charla is a native of Warren County, born and raised in Macon. She currently resides with her husband Daniel in Wise, North Carolina, in a home that she renovated that was built by her grandparents. So, Charla, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I have to get in that renovation, comment, because I'm still, recovering from that labor of love, so I have to make myself feel good about it. I always
Right.
put it in there. Good evening. It's nice to be with y'all. I appreciate the invitation that was extended to me to come out and say hello officially and hear nice things being read off the paper. May 1st was my first day with, back in Granville County as the Economic Development Director. As Mike said, I worked here in the county for 3.5 years previously, so still a working memory of people and places, but new faces as well, and so I look forward to working with y'all. Mike and I just this afternoon, I emailed him to get some time on his schedule to come in and spend some dedicated time here in the city, have a little bit of a tour, hear about what y'all's goals are and what you'd like to see from me as the county's economic developer and how we can work together. Just real quick, I want to say in the short term, some of the things we've been working on, I am refreshing my memory of the county, reaching out to some of our major employers, and still kind of pacing my way through getting in touch with our existing major employers. A big priority in the last month has been to talk with our property owners and our brokers so that I'm familiar with our what we call product, our site inventory, what I have to even market throughout the county, and making sure that those folks know that they can see me as a resource, right? Because actually economic development is not a regulatory agency. People don't have to go through me, right, to do business in Granville County, but we want them to because we have a shared vision and goals that we want to achieve, and so building that relationship with our property owners, our brokers, our realtors is going to be critical, I think, to making sure we can steer development how we want to do that. So probably no surprise to y'all, we have limited sites on the market right now. There's not a lot of square footage available for lease or sale. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about for bigger employers, bigger companies. But even in retail and smaller spaces is limited. I have a couple companies looking for 5,000 square feet or less, and it's hard to find. So we're going to be thinking strategically about how to develop what we have, look at some new product inventory, and then also as we rebuild our team in economic development, there's been some turnover over the last 4 years. Technically, we are a team of 3. Our economic development coordinator was in place when I came on board, and I hope to hire soon for our specialist. So we'll be back fully staffed again, and then really can start focusing on not just your traditional large employer industry recruitment, but looking at supporting small businesses as well, and really trying to focus on workforce development. So I will stop there, because I know you have a lot of other things. So are there any questions for me in the meantime?
Commissioner Kuczynski.
Well, Wise is a beautiful little town.
Thank you.
I think I used to sell Tupperware up there. I think I went up there, but it's gorgeous up there.
Yeah.
And you have gone to the complete opposite of the pole from New York to Wise, absolutely. Just want to remind you that we have the Creedmoor Elementary School here, and I've been trying to market it for several things. And we would love to have some sort of economic development in that space, which is inside of Creedmoor, so that, you know, it would be more for us and for our people. The one thought I had was a hospice center or a senior center, but, or a firehouse or a police station, or, I've had 7,000 different ideas, but
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you came to visit us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, send your ideas this way, and then we can talk about what's feasible and what isn't, you know, and look at, I'm a really data-driven person. Data is just numbers, right? It doesn't tell you why. It doesn't tell you the story. The story is ours to tell with the numbers, but sometimes those numbers really explain some things, including what kinds of businesses we're able to attract or want, you know, maybe in the future we can, but why can't we now? So I'm happy to have those conversations with you.
All right, Commissioner Way, any questions?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing what you can drive to the southern end of the county for us.
Trust me, I've got plenty of people encouraging me to do so.
Commissioner Wilkins, any questions or
Welcome
comments?
back, and thank you.
Commissioner Albright?
Welcome. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, welcome, and I'm sure you'll see my face around.
Yep, I appreciate it. Thank you.
And we do look forward to all the things that you can do for us down here that we have kind of feel like we've been neglected a little bit, but we'll welcome you here, and we are at your disposal if you need us for anything.
I look forward to the partnership. I'll be in touch soon.
Thank you. All right, we move to item 6, discussion items, Lake Rogers Dam Task Order. Mr. Barclay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. I'm Carl Barclay, your city engineer, and tonight I'm hoping that I know how to work this thing here. Is it on? It works. Before I start, I'd like to say that I think this is one of the most challenging presentations I've put together, and what made it difficult was knowing the right amount of technical detail to put in here and the right amount of background information. So if I miss some markers too much, just remember, it could have been worse. So the purpose tonight is to present and explain to the board the work that is being proposed in the task order that was submitted by RK&K and Schnabel Engineering, and to request the board's approval. Just as a reminder, RK&K was one of the 6 firms that was selected as part of the on-call engineering services. Schnabel Engineering is one of the specialty firms that was selected by them as a sub-consultant, and their specialty is dams. And fortunately for us, but unfortunately for many others, they have a lot of recent experience working with dams in the western part of the state after Hurricane Helene. So just to get everyone oriented, this is the Lake Rogers Dam. You can see the proximity to NC 56 and the bridge over Ledge Creek. There's our gazebo in the upper right corner, Lake Rogers Park. And the dam is comprised of different sections. The left side is the emergency spillway. That's concrete and normally dry. Middle is the primary spillway, also concrete, often wet. On the right is the earthen embankment. If water's coming over that, we're in trouble. And you can see the entire dam length is 260 feet long. Oftentimes people only think of the concrete portion as the dam, but it's actually the full 260-foot length of the dam. You're probably more used to this viewpoint, and you can see there's a wing wall on either side, and also one in the middle that separates the two spillways. So you'll see that terminology in the task order. Now, this task order, there's two overarching goals, two main things we're trying to accomplish. Number one is compliance with NCDEQ's dam safety section. The second one is to extend the service life of the dam. The NCDEQ dam safety, they've inspected it several times. Their inspection is a very brief visual inspection. They go out, they look at it, and then they send us a letter. You see the 4 different ones that we've received, 2019, 2020, 23, and 24. They're very similar, almost identical letters, and they have, I'd say, relatively minor requirements. They want us to seal the cracks, maintain ground cover on the earthen sections to limit erosion, remove vegetation from emergency spillways so it doesn't impede the flow of water, and then monitor dam elements affecting safety. That last one is sort of a non-specific, open-ended requirement. While evaluating our dam, they've also noted that there's a potential for property damage and loss of life if the dam were to breach. Therefore, it's designated as a high-hazard dam. A high-hazard dam requires us to have an emergency action plan and keep it up to date. The main purpose of the EAP is to have procedures in place for warning residents if it looks like a breach of the dam is imminent, and also guidance to us as far as when to lower it to prevent a complete breach of the dam. So I'll pause for a second and say, are there any questions regarding the letters we received from DEQ or their requirements?
Any questions? We'll call it one. Okay, thank you.
So then the second goal of this task order is to extend the service life of the dam. I don't need to tell anyone here that the dam has been, or the Lake Rogers Park, the overall, the dam, the lake, the facility, the whole place, it's been called iconic, it's been called a landmark, it's been called Creedmoor Moore's identity. It's obviously very important to us. Just look at the investments that we've made in it recently. Restaurant facilities, the gazebo, the boardwalk, fishing stations, recently a fountain. Now, it doesn't mean that it's easy to quantify the importance, because the importance is based on emotion, sentimentality, and recreation, but it clearly is important to the citizens of Creedmoor. I believe that extending the service life of the dam is critical in order to protect Lake Rogers Park. Obviously, no dam means no lake. When we scoped the project with RK&K and Schnabel, we asked them, what they thought it would take to replace a dam of this size. And while it's just a guess, it's a professional guess, it was $5 to $6 million. That's a lot of money. Rumor has it you could buy a new police department building for that much money. So clearly, replacing it is out of the question at this point in time. So if replacing it is out of the question at this point in time, well then preservation is what we need to focus on. The first step of preservation is to fully evaluate the condition using the latest technology, not just a visual inspection, use the latest technology to evaluate it, and then perform any repair or maintenance activities that will extend its life. After we go through that process, it'll give us a much more accurate estimate of the remaining lifespan, which is critical for planning. There's also several advantages to pushing the replacement or major repairs off to the future. First of all, more time gives us more time for planning the replacement, and also finding funding sources. We all know that population is expected to grow in a big jump whenever we have more sewer capacity. After that, it may be a slower but steadier increase. With the increased population comes an increase in tax base, which is the ability to pay, and also an increase in facility users, more justification for replacing something in the future. But like I said, right now, it's just not, that's not an option. So, are there any questions about extending the service life of the dam? Why? I believe that's important.
Any questions?
I don't know.
So to back up just a little bit, 4 years ago, Wooten was hired to do an inspection of the dam. It is pretty similar to what the state does, a visual inspection only. They looked at it, they took pictures, they commented on the things that they could see right there on the surface. The highest piece of technology they used was a hammer. They hit it with a hammer, and they listened for telltale signs of something wrong inside. That was it. However, the report listed a lot of next steps that should be taken. Specifically, more in-depth tests, then sealing the cracks that were visible, filling voids, and anything else that was found by using those additional in-depth tests. They also included in the report that we should plan for replacement in 10 years, which is 6 years from now. and they said it should be re-examined every 2 years. That's because things change over time. Maybe there's a problem brewing and we can't find it yet, but in 2 years it's changed enough that we are able to find it, and also the technology used to find issues changes with time. So that was a recommendation. Now, the entire task order proposal is in your agenda package, so if you want more detail of what's included in the proposal, that's where it is. I'll try and hit the wave tops here. So RK&K and Schnabel Engineering proposed 3 subtasks for the overall task order. Number 1 is a spillway condition assessment, which will be performed by Schnabel. Number 2 is a spillway crack repair design by Schnabel. And the third is the emergency action plan update by RK&K. Now, on the spillway condition assessment, I'd like to explain 2 terms first. There's non-destructive testing and destructive testing. To give you a medical analogy, non-destructive testing, that'd be like x-rays, MRIs, and CAT scans. And then destructive testing would be more like a tissue sample going off for biopsy or exploratory surgery. So what they're proposing first is the non-destructive test, looking for delamination of the concrete and voids either in the concrete or under the concrete. Ground penetrating radar is one of the technologies that they use for the non-destructive testing. Then they go back and they analyze the data and they see what they can determine from the tests that they've performed so far. And they'll use that to identify possible locations for destructive testing. What that looks like for this kind of project is using concrete cores that are taken from the dam and then sent to a lab for analysis. They also may drill smaller holes so they can insert a borescope and actually visually see what's going on at certain locations. So they're not going to do that destructive testing until they've done the non-destructive and analyzed it. Then they'll conclude by submitting a memo to us presenting test results, a summary of the major findings, and what that means to us, what they recommend we do about the things that they found. Then the second task is the crack repair design. So they know based on the letters from DEQ that it's going to have to include sealing the open cracks and joints to satisfy the letter from NCDEQ. It'll also include additional repairs that are warranted based on their assessment. Then they'll submit a report that lays out their design approach and submit the whole package to NCDEQ for approval. No work can be done on the dam without NCDEQ approving the work. So they'll revise and resubmit as many times as is necessary to get that approval so we can perform that work. Then the third task is the emergency action plan that will be done by RK&K. They'll start by verifying the information from the previous EAP. A lot of that information will be the same, but it needs to be verified that it's accurate still. Then there'll be some field work involved to verify the elevations, the adjacent properties, etc. And then using the current rainfall data, they'll develop inundation models and maps. So basically, an inundation model shows how far the flooding will occur downstream and how wide it's going to be, the elevation of it. The 2 versions they perform are what they call sunny day and rainy day. So a day like today, if the dam breaches, what's going to get flooded? And if it's in the middle of a tropical storm where there's all sorts of rain coming down in that area and also coming elsewhere, what would that look like? So clearly that would be worse. Then they compile all of that data and they populate the current EAP template on the DEQ website. And then they'll address comments from the city and from NCDEQ. Once we're all satisfied that the EAP is good, then they'll conduct a drill with the responsible parties. That includes the operator of the dam, which is us, local emergency management, police, fire, the county representatives. So are there any questions for me about what's being proposed in the task order?
Any questions? Mayor Pro Tem. So this emergency action plan, have we ever done one?
I think 2015, do you recall, is that the?
Earlier than that, it wasn't finished in 15.
So it's been a long, long time since we've had one that was
Then I
finished.
would just like to ask our city manager, is this going to be involved with our emergency action plan that we're developing? Will they?
It can be an annex within that plan, yes, sir. It could be an annex.
Any other questions? Got it. Do you have questions? Mr. Kaczynski.
So, if the dam fails and the lake drains, would the land that's there be in any kind of condition to be used for development? Do you know?
I think that'd be a floodplain most likely, because, I mean, there's a, Ledge Creek, sort of a swampy area north of that. We were discussing today what would happen. I don't know the details of how that property was acquired, if it was condemned, if it would have to revert back, I have no idea. But it'd be a nasty mess for a while, that's for sure.
Commissioner Albright.
So Carl, how long will these Band-Aids kind of work that are being proposed? Because we're not doing the whole thing, we're just kind of proposing some.
I don't know until they've done their full assessment and they know what they're dealing with and what they find.
Mr. Wilkins.
Just to be clear, this is only for the study. This is no repairs.
That is correct.
So who selected RK and NK?
For this specific project,
I just want,
they were selected to be on the engineering on-call services with 5 other firms. So a total of 6 firms were selected, and they were selected based on their capabilities, and if they needed a sub-consultant to augment their capabilities, that was acceptable. And we listed the specialties that we needed, and specialties in concrete, earth, and dams is one that was listed. So some firms included a sub-consultant like Schnabel, and others had that capability in-house. So we looked at when we selected RK&K, it was one of the prime reasons was because they had Schnabel as their sub-consultant.
thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Kaczynski.
This is an actual.
All right. So outcomes. With the money that would be spent on this task order, what are we getting? Number one, we'd be in compliance with NCDEQ dam safety because we'd be addressing the cracks that they want to have filled, and we'd be updating our emergency action plan. And two, we would have a much more accurate estimate of the remaining service life, and that is, imperative for proper planning. Now, in addition to those two things, there's numerous possible outcomes. Possible. For example, actionable information, and that is certainly our goal. Basically, information that we can act on. Identifying repair or maintenance activities that we can perform that will extend the service life of the dam. Another possibility, we might identify an imminent threat to the dam. Maybe we can't do anything about it, but we know in a certain period of time we can expect it to be end of story for the dam. That's good information to have. It's also possible that we would confirm there is no imminent threat. So there's the first 2 items we'll get, and the others, there's all sorts of possibilities. But I want to point out that there is no crystal ball. I can't guarantee you what else we'll get as far as an outcome. There's no way to predict what we will or won't find. And it sort of reminds me of a famous quote from a former Secretary of Defense. There are known knowns, there are known unknowns, and there are also unknown unknowns. There's some things we don't know that we don't know them yet. So what I do know is that more information leads to more and better options. And extending the service life, I believe, is critically important. And after considering the cost of the task order compared to the cost of replacement, I recommend that we do proceed with the task order. The question is, how much? So they broke the lump sum fee down into 3 components for each of the subtasks. The spillway condition assessment with the testing and the analysis is $57,800. Then the spillway, the crack repair design, $17,200. The Lake Rogers Dam emergency action plan update, $17,549. Total of $92,000 plus. Now, I also want to point out that approximately half that total cost is what's needed to meet the minimum requirements of NCDEQ. To meet their minimum, we take a small portion of task number 1, but all of task 2 and all of task 3. Now, the question you're probably wondering is, why in the world will we do more than the minimum? DEQ's goal is to prevent the loss of life and property if the dam were to breach. They don't care about the Lake Rogers Park. We care about all of that. So that's why the task order goes beyond the minimum. So, do I have any questions about presentation?
So the spillway condition assessment now includes testing that we didn't even have available till recently.
I don't know how long the testing, the ground penetrating radar has been used for this
We've
kind of
never
examination, but we've never done it.
We've never done it.
That's correct. We've never done this level of testing before.
Thank you.
Commissioner Way?
I'm guessing this is more along the lines for, maybe our city manager. I saw the steep price tag for the EAP update for the dam work.
The numbers he just showed us here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If I remember correctly, the previous slide was, what, 17,000 and some change for the EAP update?
17,549, yes, sir.
That's like 5 times for what we paid for the whole EAP for the whole city, isn't it?
Emergency operation plan was 20,000, I believe, somewhere 16 to 20,000.
I mean, if you break it down to just this one task.
Yeah.
Is it something worth reaching out to see if this is a task that company can do? Maybe with an amendment to the contract to see if it will be a cheaper alternative for us instead of going with the 17,000? Since they're already working on an EAP plan and this will be just an addition to that?
That's emergency operation plan, and this is, what do you call it, emergency action plan, right?
Emergency action plan, it's a
Right.
hydrologic analysis
Yeah.
of the inundation, of what areas will be flooded. So it's a different skill set. I don't think that firm would have that ability to do this kind of work.
So they specialize in what the dam work here they're doing, and the other company does just emergency management type of emergency operation planning. Crisis Tech specializes in,
Correct, but they should probably also have somebody on staff that's probably detailed enough with this.
actually, it's only 2 people on that team, the 2 that came up here to work with us on this project, and they still work full-time, but one's retired and they work together, and they just
One's still the emergency.
specialize in emergency management, yes, sir.
Okay. That's just my thought.
If we had a chance, we'd certainly go after that, but I don't think there's one there at all.
What else?
That's all I had.
All right, any other questions for Carl? Not seeing any at this time, we need a motion to approve the task order with RK&K.
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Wilkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. All right, another thing we need to do on this, it should be on page 35 of your agenda packet, is amendment number 10.
9, I'm sorry, sir, that is a 9. It's been corrected.
Not on here, that.
My finance director corrected it earlier.
Okay, number 9 then. All right. Anything, Lee, you need to say about this?
No, the fee on the amendment is only for $50,000. That is just to cover the additional amount that's needed within that fund. There are funds available currently in the budget. So the $50,000 is just to appropriate the remaining funds for this task order.
Any questions for Lee? Commissioner Kuczynski.
So if we're approving 92,000, what is, I'm assuming that the difference is a contingency, and what's that percentage? Because this is for 101,302.
It's 40, I understand it's $42,549 in engineering services. The budget amendment number 9 is for additional 50. That gets us to the 92,000 for this project cost.
You're looking at the engineering services fund where this task order will be paid out. The 101,000 that you see is the current budget appropriation in that line.
From the budget that we just approved, oh, no, this year.
Lots of other things are in there.
Okay. All right.
Anyone else? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve amendment number 9. Motion is made by Commissioner Way. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. All right, let me get... All right. Item 6B, downtown parking lot preliminary design. Mr. Barclay, I believe that's you again.
Carl, you want a chair?
Go to the next page, please. And can you zoom in at all on that? I feel like on the top half, the top half first. So the purpose of this presentation is to present the conceptual plan for the Main Street public parking lot. And just as a reminder, the easement agreement we had said that after the board and the two property owners agreed on the concept, then RK&K could proceed with the final design. Of course, and then all three have to agree on the final design also. This is just sort of like a checkpoint to make sure that they're on the right track and we can proceed. So a conceptual plan is to illustrate the major design features. So details will be addressed in the final design. So the things that you don't see are pavement markings, signing, landscaping, lighting, and some other things. They just don't show up at this stage. But the things I want to draw your attention to that I want to get your input on, see if you agree. This design shows one-way traffic. On the left side is Main Street, on the right side is Chief Street, the north is the Masonic Lodge, and the south is the drugstore. There's one-way traffic. One-way traffic allows for a more narrow center aisle, and that was done to maximize the number of stalls. And there's 13 stalls total. 2 of them are handicap stalls. One of those 2 is van accessible. So the entrance will be on Main Street, the exit on Chief Street, and that's a whole lot safer than the other way around. I've done several test drives in there, and when you're pulling onto Main Street with the parallel parking on the curb, sometimes it's very difficult to see when you're pulling out. And to have the entrance on Chief Street, that requires signage to get people around back to come in. So if it's going to be one way, it just makes sense to enter off of Main Street. Now, can you scroll down to the bottom half of that page, please? Now, there's very little earthwork that's going to occur in the parking lot, very little grade change. I think RK&K did an impressive job of economizing the design, and also this is done to minimize fill next to the buildings. Because we told them the concerns. 2 old buildings, we don't want the foundations to be damaged. Now, in fine print, top right-hand corner, it explains the horizontal scale is 1 inch is 10 feet, vertical is 1 inch 2 feet. What that means is the vertical scale is exaggerated here because if it just had a very slight grade or slope, we'll be able to see it. So it's exaggerated like 5 to 1. So it's not that steep coming in, don't worry about it. The dashed line shows the existing, you know it's certainly drivable. So the red is proposed. It's not changing much at all going into it. It's quite different than what I envisioned it would be, but that's a good thing. I was envisioning a whole lot of earthwork would have to be done, but that won't need to be done. Can you slide back up to the top half again, please? So that profile that I just showed you, those elevations are on that thin black line that goes across the middle of the parking lot, from left to right. That's where that would apply. Now, the maximum slope that is allowed based on ADA is 2% for a parking stall, 5% for an accessible route that is not a ramp, and 8.3% for a ramp. You might wonder, well, why is it steeper on a ramp? That's because there are other things that come into play on a ramp. For example, it has to be a continuous slope. It can't vary as it goes along. It has to be a flat landing every so many feet, and then it requires a railing if there's a drop-off on it. So there's a lot of other controls that are put in place for a ramp. So the accessible route is the top left side, and it goes from the sidewalk in front of the businesses down to the first handicap parking stall, and it is utilizing that maximum allowable slope of 8.3%, and there's a flat landing about halfway down. And if you recall, there's a wooden deck that's on the side of the Masonic Lodge, and there's a wooden ramp that extends into the parking lot. The deck will stay, but the ramp will be replaced because of the accessible route that's going in. It'll tie in from the deck to the new accessible ramp. A new accessible route will be a new ramp. Then the lot slopes 1% toward the middle. So away from each building, the water will be collected in the middle of the parking lot. It's made clear to us nobody wants water in the basement. Apparently the Masonic Lodge has fixed the problems. It took them a long time to stop the water intrusion, so we don't want to revisit all problems. So water will go away from the buildings toward the middle, drain down to Chief Street, and then it'll head down, which is south, towards some existing drop inlets. So I sent this plan to Blake Bird last week. As soon as I got it, he discussed with his folks and stopped by and see me last Friday. We talked about it, And he was quite happy with the concept. Of course, everybody wants to see the final plan, but he was happy with the concept as presented. So my question for the board is, are there any concerns with the concept, any questions for the concept? And if there are other things that you just want to make sure that we address in the final plan, we can do that also. Actually, I forgot one thing. The next slide is, if you could zoom in on that red line on the left and show all that, that's possible. Part of this project included addressing the standing water in front of the businesses. And we can shrink it maybe 1 foot. So what they're proposing to do is, where the sidewalk meets the tall curb, is to remove about 4 to 6 inches of concrete, and then put what's called a trench drain. They'll have a grate on top of it. And the conceptual plan is showing a graded section, followed by a pipe section, then another graded section, and it leads up to where there's an existing drop inlet in the sidewalk, and that discharges down on Chief Street. They may end up putting a trench drain the entire length, instead of just the 2 spots where water gets where it stands at the moment. But either way, it should take care of that problem out there also. So that's the totality of the project. So are there any questions with the concept that we're proposing?
I could ask why you showed it to Blake Bird and not me.
Oh, my God.
I think I would have been included in on that.
When did you be here, sir?
I'll let it slide this. One thing I was just talking to the city manager about, the back of the drugstore, the current drugstore, I spent right much money having to put rock in there because we were getting flooded in the basement. So I want to make sure that that is not interfered with at all. If anything, it might be improved. I know where my air conditioning units are.
Do you know the route that the water was coming in?
I do not. I know that I think they routed it to go out to one of the drains next to Chief Street.
Okay, so whatever rainfall is falling in the parking lot should be collected toward the center pretty quick. So that shouldn't be going toward the drugstore. Now, if the water was coming off of Chief Street because there's some issue down there, then it would be helping or hurting that. I don't think we'd be affecting that.
Well, then that's what I want to make sure of, because like I said, I've got it where it won't flood my basement, but I just didn't want something to happen that messed that up.
If there's any information that you could provide me later as far as where it was coming in or some of the details I could pass along?
I know they were pretty much digging toward that drain kind of in the middle of that parking lot that I use now, right there along Chief Street, so it may be tied into that.
The one toward the Masonic Lodge or away from the Masonic Lodge?
Away from the lodge.
Okay.
So, like I said, if they get back there and digging and stuff, I just don't want them to mess me up or shut off any drainage that I've already got built.
Okay, I'll make a note of that, sir.
Okay. Also, if at all possible, I'd like my dogwood tree to be able to stay.
Well, I think that is in the landscape area and should not be impacted.
Yeah, because that's been there as long as I have.
That all?
Yeah, it really is. Right. Okay. Has that got you covered?
Do I have the green light to proceed?
Well, we're going to do that. Just want to make sure you were through before we did that. Okay. All right. We don't need a motion, but we do need a consensus to approve. Did you have a question?
Yeah, my leg went out.
Oh, I was busy, didn't see. I apologize.
No, yeah, Carl, you did say about it being one direction, right?
Yes, ma'am.
One way, so there will be a sign there that makes it
There'll be a sign and pavement marking.
visual, yeah, okay.
No enforcement, but a sign and pavement marking.
That's all we ask. Thank you.
Commissioner Kuczynski.
We could have enforcement.
Can't enforce it off of PBA.
What?
Can't enforce the traffic off of PBA.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Carl, for doing this. I'm sorry that the mayor's drainage issue came up at the last minute, but waiting 4 years to get this project going, I'm really, really pleased, and I hope that the people of Creedmoor will appreciate the fact that we've got a parking lot with some handicap parking, a handicap ramp, and that the drugstore, I can't say the mayor because it's more than just one person, and the Masonic are donating this land for us to use for this. And I appreciate it very, very much.
We are happy, Creedmoor Drugs happy to do it. All right, consensus, down this way.
Okay.
Down this way. All right, you have your consensus.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's move on to traffic impact analysis ordinance. Mr. Frangos.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. I give Carl the hard ones, and I take the easy ones. That's the way we roll around here now. Carl's in charge of the super engineering ones, and I get to be a planner again, which is part of what I really want when I grow up. So the idea here is a task order again from our on-call engineering firm. This one is specifically from J.M. Teague, Transportation Specialists. And this relates to traffic impact analysis. This is an ordinance requirement that these guys will explore for us the best options. This task order is about the planning for the ordinance. It's going to involve UDO research, other local conditions and exactly what our peers do. It's going to include technical recommendations and actual ordinance drafting. So as you all know, traffic congestion is an important problem in Creedmoor, Highway 56, Highway 50, and 15, and the traffic problems that we have. We want to avoid those in the future, and that's a big part of traffic impact analysis, TIA. So we asked Teague to come up with an on-call task order for that, and they were happy to oblige, proposal fee and scope of services. The important thing that I will point out here is that they're going to compare us to 5 other peer municipalities that are of a similar size, that are in central North Carolina, part of the Campo MPO, the capital area MPO, and that have experienced recent growth. We're not looking for an ordinance from Raleigh. We're not looking at one from Charlotte or Greensboro or anything like that. We're trying to get the towns that are closer to our size and exactly what they do and what they require. A lot of the TIA details are in DOT and they're spec'd out by DOT, but we're going to have thresholds. One of the things we'll have to decide at a later date is exactly the threshold of when a TIA requirement kicks in. Subdivision of X number of units, commercial use of X number of square feet, maybe number of trips per day that are predicted by any one particular use, and that would kick in the TIA requirement. And then potentially, with a TIA requirement, we can go about trying to mitigate factors. Now, one question I was asked was, well, what can we do? And the truth is we can't do a lot because we're only a municipality. We are not NCDOT. When NCDOT does a TIA, they have the power of the state, go across the highway system, east to west, and they can cover all things that they need. We can only impact on-site improvements or directly relevant traffic impacts. So things that we can handle might be road widenings, might be dedication of right-of-way, might be the idea that there could be a contribution maybe to future transportation improvements. There's going to be a lot of things that we'll be able to discuss and explore with Teague on these topics. So we're going to find out what's best for Creedmoor. So it is quite a bit of an involved process. There will be several meetings, both with staff, with you all, and with the planning board, and then trying to get to a final TIA ordinance, which will then be adopted as part of our Creedmoor development ordinance. Now, this one is a little bit more reasonable, let's just say, not involving such heavy engineering as some of the earlier task orders that you've seen. The total that is laid out for this one is $14,350, and good news is, this is not new money. This is money that is already in the community development budget for fiscal '25. So this is just about assigning those funds to this task. And that's what I'm asking for y'all to do tonight.
Any questions? Commissioner Kuczynski.
So Mike, this is the company that came before us before, and I thank you for pursuing this because it's really, really, really important to me.
If you remember, the mayor won by 3 hours from JMT back then, and that got him here that day to talk about this topic, and now we're back right at the end of the year to get into the task order business.
You're all welcome.
So they'll write the ordinance for us.
Yes.
And something you just said has confused me a little bit. If we have a new subdivision being built, and DOT says road changes aren't necessary, will JMT go in and review it and make their own suggestion to us, and then we can approve or disapprove a development based on this?
We can't
Will it give us
supersede
more
the state.
power?
No, we cannot supersede the state. We do not have more power than the state does. But if the state does not require a TIA, and we do, then yes, we can make recommendations according to ours, because of course, ours will relate mostly to city streets. It'll relate to the smaller, scale subdivisions. I'll just give an example. We all remember Cedar Creek or Mary Lane. They just completed a big TIA. They spent over 6 months putting together one because it was right next to Mount Energy Elementary School.
Right.
And that was the state's requirement to do that, certainly not ours. So in that case, state wins, they did what they required, and they in fact have required improvements along 56. In that situation, we couldn't have a TIA that said, oh no, you have to do more. You have to put up a signal and widen the lanes and extend the road. No. When the state covers it, it's done. It's when the state doesn't cover it for some reason that we could implement our ordinance in another place. So that's what this is trying to do. We can't supersede what the state requires, but we can have our own correspondence.
So Brames didn't have a TIA?
Brains did not have a TIA, no, because it was not on a state highway, and our ordinance at the time, and still does not today, require it.
Okay. So if it is one that we can use this ordinance on, the developer will pay the fee for the study?
And
Like
for
they
the
do for the
review,
DOT.
if we want to do it that way too, right?
Okay.
They'll produce it, and then they'll pay our reviewing firm to review it. And that, ours would always be Teague, these are our guys, and whoever else produced it, Teague would review it and either agree or disagree with the recommendations.
So any subdivision that we've approved already?
Cat's already out of the bag.
Okay, just want to make sure.
That's right, cat's already out of the bag in those cases.
So this is going forward once the ordinance is approved by the board?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Any other questions? All right. Mr. Flangos, is that the end of your?
It is the end of my presentation, sir.
All right, at this time, I'll request a motion to approve task order with JMT.
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Kuczynski. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let me get situated.
Click on me, yeah, roll to the next one.
Yeah, hold on 1 second for me, make sure I got everything what I want. All right. Police Department Building and City Hall renovation update.
So maybe you can back this one out one step, Barb, I think it's zoomed in. So, here is simply the next step, and this is all about status update. This is about keeping the board aware and informed, best we can regarding the Police Department building and the City Hall renovation. There really is no action required tonight, but tonight, gives you a real good picture of exactly the site plan, the floor plan, and the renovation plan, the three big, components of our project here. So the most recent site plan revisions are included here, the floor plans for the new PD building and the City Hall renovation. I've taken out just a few pages for us to look through and review, and I know it's very hard at this scale, but we are talking about a separate building that's off there to the left, the proposed building, 6,494 square feet, separated by the existing row of parking there. I'll just call out where the handicap stalls are going to be newly installed, right there about mid-block or mid-row, let's say, with a ramp that red line shows in the upper left corner. We'll get handicapped visitors from the parking stalls down the ramp to the front door of the new PD building. That was the very hard part. If y'all remember, that was something that we had struggled with. We had explored putting handicap parking at the street on Masonic. We had explored putting it in the parking lot to the rear closest to Sanderford, but none of those were as appealing an option as this one. So it does involve a new ramp, hopefully less than 8.33% grade, which it will be, and it will get visitors to that front door. I think this one is utility plan layout. The purple is stormwater drainage, the red, and then I think there's some blue. One is sanitary and the other is water. Of course, the new building calls for a new meter, calls for a new sanitary sewer connection, calls for a new backflow preventer. All of those things are going to be connected from the Sanderford side. In the back, you see the way it crisscrosses. All of the stormwater will ultimately discharge to the left of our screen here, which is west, on the west side of Elm Street, where that purple line ends there to the left of the building. That's the stormwater drainage. You might remember we don't require an SCM for this site because we have not increased the impervious surface area. This is just a landscape page which shows, street trees around the edges, curb, gutter, sidewalk, etc., all the way around, the parking lot. Of course, we'll have shade trees throughout, and there is some additional screening to match those trees along Sanderford. And we're keeping the big weeping.
There you go.
Over there. We called it Nina's tree.
Nina's tree.
It's just a nice big tree that's right out there in the parking lot. That stays. It is identified and protected here on this site.
Mike Daniel, Commissioner Kuczynski.
So you just said it doesn't increase impervious surface?
Correct.
That whole parking lot back there, that's gravel. That's impervious, and we are...
It is impervious. Gravel is considered an impervious surface because of the compaction that happens to the earth underneath. There was a time, pre-Falls Lake rules, that gravel was considered porous. And that's why everybody in Creedmoor thought it was the greatest thing ever. We got porous. The Falls Lake rules changed that. Gravel is considered impervious. So we get credit for the existing gravel that's out there, therefore, we don't have to put in an SCM. Okay, the next one, sorry, too fast. That's there. The front page, this is just a page of the police department with the elevation. I just wanted y'all to see the picture, again, of the front side of the building. This is the Masonic view from the corner of Elm and Masonic. Up the hill, the existing city hall is in the background of that picture, and that's the front of the new police department building. One of the important things, or one of the most important things, and this is a non-traditional page, this is the ventilation plan. Y'all remember, we're working with a site that is contaminated, has been contaminated by petroleum. There is petroleum in the groundwater at that location. We know it. We've been told that it's sealed. We have a finding of no further action required, and some of you might remember a couple years ago we even filed a covenant onto our deed, or a deed restriction that insists no residential will ever happen on that property, but of course commercial and office building is permissible with something like this. This is the ventilation system that's being installed in the foundation of the new PD building. Right now it's going to be passive ventilation, and the idea that it can be retrofit with fans and other means of sucking out any of the petroleum filled or vapor that might escape from under the foundation. So this is an additional consideration that had to be put into this plan, and I wanted to extract this sheet A030 to show you all that we're taking the vapor and the contaminated site into account. This is the floor plan layout, obviously lots of new offices, the community room in the upper right-hand corner, front desk, the PD, evidence storage, locker rooms, interview rooms, all of the things that PD needs to do their job. These are the elevations. I wanted to just get a good look at all four sides. Of course, we are speccing the building with a metal roof. The color will be an alternative based upon the bid submittal, but the standing seam metal roof is going to be a part of the base bid, and it is brick. Exterior matching City Hall building. I think this is a furniture layout. One of the items Commissioner Kuczynski had asked about, of course, furniture is not included in the construction of the building. Furniture is an additional expense that has to come later. Very many desks, very many chairs, very many tables, very many lockers and cabinets and all of the things that have to go in will be our expense, not included in the construction price for the construction of the building. City Hall renovation, obviously the building that we're in, they use the other elevation. This is the view from mid-block on Masonic, looking down the hill toward the new PD. The existing City Hall there is on the left of that cross-section. This is the building floor plan layout. We are changing some of the office in the old PD side to accommodate community development. There is space for future growth. There are at least two spaces right now that have that label simply as future growth on it, where we could put more offices. Certainly we could put more storage. It allows us, to flexibility in the future. This plan does improve the bathrooms here at City Hall, making them easier for ADA accessibility. We're making the sinks more accessible in both the men's and ladies' room. There is going to be a new bathroom installed for the CDO, which will be behind the door as a staff-only bathroom, and then there's the rest of the offices and conference rooms. Of course, the mayor's office stays. There's the conference room that is added that would be a larger, more citywide conference room. That's at the bottom middle. And then the community development conference room is in the top left of this picture, which will be our space for entertaining future developers and things there. This also includes lobby renovations. Y'all might recall we're taking out bulletproof glass, all of the wall, the security separating on that community development side. We'll try to make the counters a little bit lower profile, a little bit more ADA accessible, and we'll just say warmer, friendlier, more inviting. This is the finish plan. The whole building is getting some rugs, it's getting some paint, working on some trim things. We're adding water fountains in the hallway here. So there are some improvements that are made to the existing City Hall. Everyone is getting touched a little bit, even if your office is in the existing part of the building where no real renovations are taking place, you're going to get an upgrade. And this too will include some furniture. Obviously, we're going to be bringing over most furniture, everything we can from the existing community development office, but there are quite a few desks and things that are really beyond their useful life. So there will be some furniture expenses to upgrade the space. And that's that. Does anybody have any comments or questions regarding the project?
Commissioner Kuczynski.
Mike, you just said that they'll be adding another bathroom where the CDO offices are going to be?
Right. They're moving the existing locker room things that are there right now. Those are being taken out, and the new restroom is being added closer to the counter. You want to go back to that slide I can show it to you?
Well, it's just that I knew that there were bathrooms already there, and I was just trying to understand why we're adding another one.
No, because it didn't work with the floor plan arrangement. The two bathrooms and the two locker rooms are being taken out entirely, and the new bathroom is there. Can you point to it, Barbara? It's the one where the circle is right there. That's it. That's accessible inside for pre-board CDO staff, closest to the front desk, and that's for the staff to use. That's also the location of where the restrooms are existing, but they're not needed. We don't need 2 rooms and all that locker room space.
So that'll be a co-ed bathroom.
Co-ed bathroom.
Commissioner Albright.
Maybe ask President Button.
You're not supposed to be pressing our buttons. Mayor Pro Tem.
Are the front and rear doors on City Hall going to be ADA compliant?
They will be. They'll have one side will open automatically. They're not being changed though. These are the doors, but they're having the openers installed as part of it.
Commissioner Wilkins, any questions? Commissioner Way, any questions? Commissioner Kuczynski? All right, you need a consensus?
Just a good consensus, we'll proceed forward. I'll give you guys an update. They'll be back in July. Little will be here with the final site plan, and then the go-ahead to go to bid. All things go well, right now we're in review with DOI, Department of Insurance, and Granville County Inspections. If all goes well and they get approval on those building plans, they'll be back here with the bid specs. Assuming we go forward with the bid at the beginning of, middle of July, we give about 30 days to the middle of August to know what our bid situation is and what we get in. Assuming, knock on wood, all things go well, September 2nd, in the morning, Lee will be at the LGC, and in the evening, we will be here, hopefully to award the contract based on the funding that we achieved that day. So it's all coming together. September 2nd is the day that we're now all targeting, hopefully, to get this whole thing up and running.
Commissioner Kuczynski?
So, I guess this is a Mike Turner question. The Creedmoor City Police Department sign that is now in front of this building will be moved down to the new building?
Mike, have y'all discussed that sign in detail?
I know there's a sign location identified in front of the new building. I guess if it's removable, we could relocate it. I don't really know what's involved with the foundation of that thing, so they'd have to look at it to see what they could do to relocate it.
I don't see why it can't be relocated.
Yeah. If it can, it will be, for sure. We're not looking to spend any more money than we need to. If there's a way to move it, then we'll certainly move it.
Thank you, Mike. Any other questions? Mike, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we move down now to item 6. We got one. I looked down and...
My consensus is no, for the record. My answer is no.
Okay. I think we got the consensus we needed, though, to proceed. Okay, we go down to 6E, financial summary for the month ending May 2025. I believe that's you, Mr. Faines.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Board. Tonight I bring before you the May financial summary report. This is our second to the last one for the fiscal year. So same format as always. Revenues 85% collected to date. Pouring out property taxes, 98% collected. We are still waiting on May's actual collections, and then we'll be receiving June's collections in July. And that's for sales and use taxes as well. You know, we're 2 months behind, so this report is reflecting up till April. For May and June is still waiting to be reported. Let's go down to general fund expenditures, 87% expense. Stormwater fund revenues, we're at 117% of actual stormwater revenue collected from the county. That $21,000 being fund balance we appropriated for balance the budget in this current year. Stormwater fund expenditures, we're at 71% expense. Power bill fund revenues, both allocations for Power Bill have been received. Any additional revenue received on those funds or interest earned on those funds that's in the North Carolina Cash Management account. And Power Bill fund expenditures are at 53% expensed. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Any questions? Commissioner Kuczynski.
So, the property tax actual year-to-date, which is 98%, you said, 2,652,000, and the police department actual year-to-date is $2,571,000. Is that correct?
For their expenditures? Yes, ma'am.
So, again, with the tax increase that was approved at our last meeting, this is why. Almost the entire ad valorem tax amount is the budget for the police department. I mean, we do have other sources of revenue, but not enough.
Right, yeah. More is in a space where there's no additional revenue that we can receive at the time. Unfortunately, our main source of revenue for the city is ad valorem taxes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Lee, I believe you have the bond council proposal.
Yes, so, as you're aware, and Mike briefly just discussed it with you all regarding the police department construction. One of the things that was brought to my attention from Davenport was working with them, in regards to the financing for this. We have to, when it goes down to the bank financing, it is recommended that we get a bond counsel, that's focused and works for the city on the city's behalf. Yes, we have the option of using the bank's, attorneys, but in that case, they work for the bank. They're not looking for the best interest for the city. So I reached out to Kevin on it, our city attorney, and he recommended Sanford Holshouser for this financing. Well recommended. If you look in their proposal, they were the bond counsel that assisted Granville County with their recently built senior center. So they were a part of that process as well. And tonight, Bob Jessup was the leading, they will be leading this project. He wasn't able to make it, but I didn't want it to delay any further, so I told him that I'll present it. And if you all have any questions, that I will send him that information, those questions for him to follow up on. But Sanford Holshouser, that's what they do. They focus on local government financial transactions. As a bond counsel for City of Creedmoor, they will prepare all the necessary financing documents and coordinate the financing process with the city and other participants, that include Davenport and the bank that we will be going with once we receive bids. And just one thing to note, Davenport are ahead of the game. They have the schedule from Little. They have submitted the RFP last week to the bank to go ahead and start receiving those bank bids. So those will, I believe it's about a month time frame that they have. And then once we receive, we will bring those to you all at the August meeting, I believe. So at the loan closing, they will deliver their legal opinions to the city for the city's repayment obligations and after the certain tax issues. They will perform all the core services expected of the bond counsel, including the bond transit board resolutions and public notices, preparing documents required for closing and coordinating closing activities. Also at the August meeting, I will bring before you, they're called as a findings resolution. This law firm will be preparing that document for you all's approval at that meeting as well. So this proposal includes a flat fee of $15,500. This proposal includes all expenses. There are no additional expenses, no separate expenses that comes with their services. So this includes their travel, the copying charges, postage, or carrier fees, or anything similar. So tonight I bring before you this proposal. Working along with Bob will be Emily Jessup. She has 6 years of legal experience working at the federal level. So tonight this motion is to get you all's approval of this proposal, and then I will reach back out to the Sanford Holshouser to get the document for signatures for your signatures and mine as well. So if you have any questions.
Any questions down this way? Commissioner Albright?
Yes, sir.
Any questions, Commissioner Kuczynski?
No.
Commissioner Way? All right, at this time, I'll ask for a motion to accept proposal from Sanford Holzhauser to provide bond counsel services and not to exceed $15,500.
So moved. Well, tied.
The Mayor Pro Tem has made the motion by the skin of his teeth. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Lee. All right, that was, F, all right. Let's see, we've got 6G, which is the budget amendment number 10.
Well, this is.
Yeah, we did 9 earlier. It was marked 10.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion on mine. But this is the final budget amendment for the fiscal year. This is I consider my cleanup amendment to make sure that the departments are adequately funded to ensure no overextended violations. And that is to make sure that we are in compliance with the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act. So this amendment appropriates funds and also acknowledging some funds to appropriate in the departments that you see listed below. And then also some stormwater funds as well.
Any questions? Any questions down this way? All right. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve budget amendment number 10. Motion is made by Commissioner Albright. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you again, Lee.
Thank you all.
All right, we move now, that was 6G. 6H, discussion about the water filters. Mr. Wilkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I brought this back due to the outpouring from personal conversations, phone conversations, texts, emails, and social media. So at the risk of beating a dead horse, let me reiterate what I said at our previous meeting. The water that we receive at our homes, based on our own testing, is not good. I continue to hear that the water is discolored, smells, causes stains, and I again believe the answer would be to help our citizens by providing filters until the water they get at their home matches what Seguasa says as soon as today their tests indicate coming out of their plant. Until that happens, we need to do something now to help our citizens. So I ask Mr. Mayor, if you can, would you call for another vote of the board to see if there's any change of heart to provide filters for our low and low moderate income house residents, and to also enter into interlocal agreement with Seguasa, funding them to provide filters for the rest of our citizens. And I'm open to answer any questions the board may have, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions for Commissioner Kuczynski?
This is for you, Mr. Mayor. I'm trying to understand how we can, the non-prevailing party can bring up the vote again. Can somebody, I've got the school of government here.
I've got you covered. I'm just asking for questions right now. Any questions, Commissioner Way? Any questions down here?
No, sir.
Mr. Wilkins, the only one that can bring forth a motion is somebody from the prevailing party.
Well, I checked on that, Mr. Mayor, and I was told I was able to renew a defeated motion, so Mr. City Manager might have that information also.
Well, I verified it too with Kevin, and that was the instructions I got. It has to come from the prevailing party. And yes, I read what you were sent.
Yes.
That's why I checked, because I've always felt like, was told at the very beginning it had to be from the prevailing party. So I sent an email to Kevin just to verify, and he said that was the case.
But that is not what the email said. So can we pull up the email?
Well, I think it was directly a question between me and him, but I can show it to you.
Okay.
Let's see if I find the right button. You want me to show it to you, or just read it to you?
You just read it, sir.
I'm sorry?
If you please read it, thank you.
All right, let me see if I can find it here. Okay, let's see. My question was that I read the response to the city manager. Does the motion need to come from one of the commissioners that voted no on the previous motion, or can any commissioner make the motion? Response, for Rule 21 of the Board of Commissioners Rules of Procedure, a motion is defeated can be renewed by any commissioner at a later meeting. However, a motion to reconsider can only be made by a commissioner who voted within the prevailing side per Rule 20-B-15 of the Board of Commissioners Rules and Procedures.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. But while we got that on here for discussion, Mr. City Manager and I were looking at the company that you were suggesting and some of the things. And if I'm correct in this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, they were saying that they did not filter iron or manganese, which would, to me, is what our prevailing issue is. So I didn't know if you had seen that or not.
That's not what I understand, but that's fine.
Well, like I said, he pulled it up, so if you would do me a favor, when you get a free opportunity, do verify that for me if you would.
No, I think I'll leave the dead horse alone. That's what the board decides. We'll just leave it like that.
Okay. All right, that was 6H. 6I, water quality, Commissioner Gleason, Mayor Pro Tem Gleason.
You can beat a dead horse to death and he's still dead. No matter how long you beat it, once it's dead, it's dead. I first want to say that I thank everybody on this board. I don't think there's anybody on this board that doesn't care about the citizens of our community. And I want to say over the past 4 years, we've had a board that, although we didn't agree on everything, here we are, we're not agreeing on everything. The bottom line is, we did come to a consensus, and at the end of the night, we smiled and said goodnight to one another. See you tomorrow. The reality is that we have to look back in time. We're talking about water quality. And there's nobody, I mean, in fact, I just, a couple of weeks ago, had to change the whole house filter thing because it was so old I couldn't get it open anymore to put new filters in. But water quality to me is very important. I lived in this town, we've owned a home in this town now for 18 years. I lived here 16. The most magnificent little town. It reminds me of a little town I grew up in New York. I never had a home that didn't have a water filter in it, but I was always in a home that had, except my growing up home was on a well, city water. And if I look over the years and if I put a request in for records today, but I tried to get it a little bit sooner, but I want to look back. I want to take us back a few years here when we're talking about water quality. The city of Creedmoor, at some point, was making a decision after it had got its loans and built a new water tank so we could hold more water, and we change valves and hydrants and all kinds of infrastructure improvements that the city did. Then it became, we're going to maybe get our water somewhere else from Seguasa, and get it from maybe Oxford or some other place, and we're going to build a water treatment facility on the, hit me if I'm wrong, the Neuse River. Tar River. Yes, sir. We're now on the Neuse River, on the Tar River. when I was first approached, I said, man, I mean, we're talking about a customer base that shrinks like this, and we're gonna, so I was never for that. And finally, it got to the point where, in order for the facility that Sigwasa owned, the water treatment facility, to meet the standards of current requirements, they almost needed Creedmoor's customers to have enough customers so that they could borrow money to do that, and it needed to be done. And then the city of Creedmoor decided it would sell its water system to Sigwasa. Prior to that, and again, now I just trying to mine minutes that aren't put in any kind of format that you can really mine. I'm not sure of the actual dates, but prior to us selling the water system to Sigwasa, we would get letters in the mail with our monthly bill that may have been 2 weeks after somebody got a thing saying that this chemical, I'm not talking about manganese and iron, I'm talking about stuff that shouldn't be there. It was there, and maybe you should boil your water, blah, blah, blah. Well, I get a letter in the mail 2 weeks after they got the notice that said I should boil the water. So water quality was definitely an issue. And an issue that I took constantly to Sigwasa. There was one person at least on the board now that was on Sigwasa at that time, and Sigwasa did do the improvements to get those kind of chemicals that were really dangerous out of the water. And they finally got a system that allowed it to work, not only manually, but it could automatically put whatever chemical. So to say that Sigwasa did nothing about water quality is a little wrong. They have. All of us, so the bottom line is, when we sold, just to go back to water quality, because this thing stuck in my brain. After the city sold its water system to the Sigwasa, there were 2 members on this board, a lady by the name of Del Mims and my wonderful friend Tom Jackson. If you never met Tom Jackson, you missed out. And I do have the minutes from the meeting where Commissioner Mims, right after the sale, or when they were deciding what to do with the enterprise funds or whatever, made a motion to the board to give $1.1 million to Sigwasa to improve water quality. It was defeated 3-2. Not only was it defeated, Mr. Mims, who had only been recently put on the Sigwasa board, was removed from the board by the 3 members that voted against water quality. They removed her from the board and replaced her. And then my friend Tom says, I vote to give him $2 million. Well, that went down in defeat too, and so did his position on Sigwasa. Water quality was when Adam and Eve were born, water quality was an issue. They had to have good water. We have to have good water. The bottom line is, when is quality of water important? When it's important to being on the right side of next door, or Facebook, or the voter. The bottom line is, this board, everybody here, is for water quality. Nobody's not for water quality. I would think that buying these filters, even if they were purchased in the way that they would have needed to be purchased, would have been like putting a Band-Aid on a cut that needed 5 stitches. When the filters ran out, the wound still hadn't been healed and may be infected. But I want to end this remark that I've been on this board for now almost 6 years, the last 4 years with the current board, I've never seen more done for the city of Creedmoor than done. We went from a city that was in peril to getting a city manager who brought together a team of people that are magnificent. What can I say about his team? What can I say about our public works, our finance department, our human resources department? We are in a position where, I've been here, like I said, 18 years, going to meetings for 12 to 13. We're in a position where we've never been in my time. So although water quality is right now a blister, and we gotta stick to it, and believe me, thank you, Commissioner, because now all of a sudden we're getting reports from Sigwasa about magnesium. So it is working. It's definitely not working as fast as we wanted. PFAS changed the whole thing, PFAS. Everybody's in a rush to get that done, as am I. Would like to see that done as fast as possibly can be done. But I just want to make sure that when people like, now I'm going to forget his name. I wish I could forget his name at night. Who writes to your paper every week about how bad we are and how we don't look. John Mayo, how many things, like, we don't care about water quality, and we had money put aside for that, and we didn't spend, the money was not put aside for that. It was never dedicated for that. It was for something completely different. Completely different, had nothing, no connection to it. The bottom line is that we're constantly growing and growing and growing and not fixing the water. We're not growing at all. This board had to sit here last meeting and raise our taxes. Do you think I want to raise our taxes? Mismanagement, if you mismanage something for enough years, sooner or later, you run out of. So I want to just finish my remarks by thanking this board, the 5 members of this board, our city manager, our mayor, who have leveled the ship, man. The ship is sailing. We're friends with people in other towns next to us that wouldn't even talk to us. Wouldn't even talk to us. So let me end my remarks by, I'm 100%, and I don't need to get ABC and Channel 11 News. If I want to go to a Sigwasa meeting, before I go to a Sigwasa meeting, I don't call up ABC 11 and News and say, I'm going to be there, I'm going to bring 30 people, come and interview my people. I'm going to be there. I don't care if the news is there. I thank the 3 people that are here that don't need to be here. Thank you for being here. Carry this on, that get more people come here. Listen, believe, again, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm done. Sure.
And that's the bottom line.
Bottom line.
All right. Is there anything else needs to come before the board tonight?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion is made to adjourn by Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you all for coming. And have a safe night.
I'm sorry, you were trying to reach for one.
I couldn't quite reach far. I want to catch this, Mayor.
Yeah.
They cups, look at this, and got all under your book.
I leave.
How does it feel to have a piece of